welcome back to the channel. Jumping back onto the Z650 carbs. As you remember in the last episode, basically gave you an update of Brian from Centurion Motorcycle Projects had approached me to say that he could help out with the choke plungers. Well, I've now received my choke plungers back, lovingly presented, and he's also sent me some float bowl screws, and obviously the original, I sent him an extra plunger, and he's obviously sent back the squashed part that was wrecked on top. But no, as you can see, lovingly packaged, really nicely presented. We'll pull these out in a minute and have a look, but they look absolutely amazing. So big thank you to Brian and Centurion Motorcycle Projects. There's a link in the description to their Facebook page. Pop across there, you can contact them and they can price up jobs for you. But yeah, really pleased with that. So today we're going to get these installed and then start putting back the actual floats and actually get the heights correct. Now I've gone through various different places, I've looked at manuals, and there's kind of a difference between some of the settings that people are using. Some of them I'd heard 30mm, some of them 23mm. So just grabbing my notepad, I'll write down as much as possible, everything's in here. Right, so as I said, with the float heights, the manual actually says 30mm. I've seen on forums some are setting between 23.5 to 25mm. I actually looked in the proper workshop manual and they're saying 23mm plus or minus 1mm from the mating surface of the carb body to the top of the float, with the tab which is that bit in the middle there, barely making contact, and 3mm plus or minus 1mm below from the bottom edge of the carb body to the fuel level. So as I say, we're going to flip these over after we put in the plungers and then actually do the measurements. So I've basically got a tolerance of 22 to 24 millimeters from the mating surface at the bottom of the carb. So there's a close-up shot. He's given me his business card as well. So that's the gentleman, Brian McCall. But as I say, there'll be a link in the description to the actual Facebook page. But there is a phone number and an email address. But no, believe it or not, they are the ones that came out that I sent off to him. He's completely refurbed, replaced all the rubber washers and done a fantastic job. Yep, so with the carbs, so when we actually put the float in, the measurement will be from this surface. So let me get set up, we'll open this pack. I need to loosen off the backing plate so I can actually get the plungers back in. Right, so let's get this open. Yeah, so as you remember how actually squashed that was my original spare plunger. there's Brian's card and the services he provides. So definitely give him a call. So that's the new that's the old. So again, we'll install those. Just put those to one side. So that is the new plunger, well, the refurbed plunger I should say. Again, he's used my original plastic slides. And actually managed to find a spare and a top. But all this has all been replaced. He offers that service. Alright, so going back to the carbs, obviously that's where the plungers fit, so I just need to unscrew the backing plate slightly. It is slightly loose. I just need to pull it out a bit more so I can actually get these plungers in place with the actual choke bar and the connectors. So let me get that done, and then I'll bring you back when we're actually going to go and put the rest of the parts back in. Alright, so the plungers are back in. Just sliding the actual choke tube through. You have actually got enough room. Let's see where the plunger is. You've actually got enough room to actually fit the actual puller through, and then just feed through. Just needs a bit of wiggling with your fingers. And that one's gone through. And obviously the last one is the easiest one. Right, so that's all in position, so then I can put the screw back in this end. As you can see, they're all through and it's right to the end. Now I just need to screw these screws in, because you've got a groove. You can see there's a groove actually in the back of it, and the screw screws into that. So that's done finger tight. I've just got to screw the rest up, and then this screw fits in there, and again I'll tighten that up. So that's all of them tight. Again, they're all JIS screws, so all I've got left is to actually put the screws in the plate at the back, As you can see, it's all loose. If anybody wants to get a set of JIS screwdrivers, they come as a set of 4. I'll leave a link in the description. They are extremely handy on old bikes. Right, so that's all tight. So all that's left now is just to tighten this one. Right, so that's basically it for the top. In a second I'll flip them over and we'll start installing all the floats. Right, so I'll flip them back up so we can actually now get the floats installed. As you remember, these have been sitting to one side, so we've got cylinder 1, 2, 3 and 4. Like I said in the previous episode, I'm actually fitting new floats. Sometimes the pin goes through first time, sometimes it takes a while. Right, that's gone through. So the measurement we want is from the mating surface of the carb body to the top of the float as it sits now. So to make it easier, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the 10 mark as the mating mark. As you have a look, and that's sitting at 24mm, which is within tolerance. So say for instance this was higher up, you bend this section in the middle up or down, because you want it so it's barely touching the actual float needle. So if you wanted it down a little bit, you'd raise that up, you'd push it through from the bottom side. If it's too high, then you push it from the top side and push it down. Yeah, so they are within tolerance, 23 plus or minus 1mm, and these are sitting at 24. So all that's left to go on will be the gasket and then the float bowl itself, and obviously I'll fit the new screws, and then we've just got, without losing the spring, this jet to fit on the other side. So literally it is repeat the process into the next carb, the float needle in, pin through. And again, I'll have to use a slightly different measurement on this one. That's sitting at 24 as well. So they're both sitting fine. As I say, I write everything down. So as I say, I've seen all sorts of measurements, but the other measurement you can do is 3mm plus or minus from below the bottom edge of the carb body to the fuel level, which will be down inside there. I mean, that you could even just use a piece of wire and mark it and then measure it afterwards. So again, it's just repeat the process. For the last two. Yep, that's sitting at 24 as well. So that's the last one done in place. Again, that's sitting at 24. So on with the gaskets. Again, you'll see there's a hole there which fits over, so they're easy to put actually in place. In with the new drain screws. Actually do look good. Fit that over. And then it's just a case of doing exactly the same for the next three. So let me get this done, tightened up, all the new screws left in, and then we'll fit these and that'll be it. So that's everything installed. And it's all screwed down. So like I say, I've just got to flip it over and install these. Also making sure you've got the spring. Without dropping it like I keep doing. Right, so they're all in place and just ready to screw down to the correct settings. Alright, so just screwing these in. I did write down the actual setting, and for the life of me I can't remember where it is. I think it was screw in and 1.5 turns out, but I'll correct that when I come to edit the video if that is incorrect. I did look in the Haynes manual and couldn't see it in there. So that is basically the carbs completely rebuilt. Again, all stripped down, cleaned, and obviously the brilliant job of Brian. Again, that's the company. I'll leave a link in the description. So that was the set of JIS screwdrivers that I picked up ages ago. Really great on the old Jap bikes because they are JIS screws. But say that's the set of 4 you get. I'll leave a link in the description where you can get them from. But no, I think overall we've gone through everything, learnt a thing or two. Thanks to everybody that's commented and given me help and advice, etc. It's been much appreciated. But I think we'll wrap that one up for today there, and as I say, next episode we'll come back and actually get them installed. Right, so thanks for joining me on that one. As I say, I hope this has helped people as much as I've learned. Hopefully other people can learn from this. Everything we've done is been cleaned, refurbished. I can't see why these shouldn't work when they go back in, so we'll keep the fingers crossed. Like I say, when we come back to revisit in the next episode of the Z650, I'm still working on the Triumph obviously. We'll get them installed and cross fingers and see what happens. But as I say, so I'll leave a link in the description to the JIS screwdrivers, and I'll also leave a link in the description to Brian at Centurion Motorcycle Projects. I really can't thank you enough, Brian. It's to step forward and help me out like that. It's phenomenal. So big thumbs up and thank you very much. So like I say, any comments in the comments box below. I appreciate all your feedback, all your comments. I always say if people notice something I haven't done right, I learn by my mistakes. If I do make a mistake, it's all part of the channel, all part of the learning process. But it is encouraging people to have a go, try and do it yourself. There are links to other videos at the end of the video, and as always, I appreciate everybody's support. Thanks for watching. Join me again next time. Cheers. Bye.